I had such wild ambition when I signed up to give this chapel talk last spring. All of the things I couldn't wait to write about and share filled my head and my heart. I was eager. Then when Miss Hardy gave me the news I had actually been selected to speak, the fear set in. The task of putting words to paper over the summer felt overwhelming, and now, 7 months later, here I am before you, hoping I accomplished what I set out to do. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leigh Brandt. I am a sixth former. I became a student at Millbrook last year as a repeat junior. I want to share with you the journey I made to get here and what I've learned along the way. Those who do know me know I am a huge Billy Joel fan. Something he once said inspired me and helped me begin this chapel talk. He said, "I am no longer afraid of becoming lost because the journey back always reveals something new." Ever since I was 5 years old, I attended the same independent K-12 school in New Jersey. It was highly regarded for its academics and small class sizes. Lots of well-known politicians, journalists, and even a few rock stars sent their kids there. It was safe, and it was my second home. My mom ran the bake sales and the book fairs. My dad assisted as a parent coach for soccer and basketball. My younger sister even went there and still goes there. My entire academic life was spent on this 60-acre campus. We had a pool, tennis courts, a turf field, a performing arts center, and teachers who became my mentors and friends. What I'm trying to convey here is, this place was not only ideal and wonderful, but it was also the only place I had ever known from preschool on. As my junior year began, I took a long look around. I wasn't ready to accept that I would complete my high school years attending only one school. I needed to experience something else, something different. Ever since I was little, my mom would always put Post-it notes on them with famous quotes in my backpack. She did this mostly when I had a test, or sometimes for no reason at all. They were inspirational and they made me feel better. I remember one in particular written on a dreary November day. It was by the author Zora Neale Hurston. She wrote the novel Their Eyes Were Watching God. And it said, "There are years that ask questions and years that answer." This was my year in question. This was my year to seek, ask, and wonder what path my life should take. And so my search for a boarding school began. My parents were enormously helpful, but at first they were a little confused, a little torn, and couldn't understand why I would want to leave the only school I had ever known. There was the slight embarrassment of having to tell family and friends that I was transferring. I remember my dad emphatically relaying to a fellow class parent that it wasn't because I had bad grades or got into trouble. It seemed strange to so many others that I would repeat a year of school and risk losing out on graduating with the 85 kids in my grade I had known and grown up with for over a decade. My mom put another Post-it note in my bag that week. This one was by Jean Oliver, and it said, "Every path serves a purpose." One of my mom's closest childhood friends went to Millbrook. I'd met her many times. She and my mom would laugh and tell stories about how they grew up spending their summers together on the Jersey Shore. My mom was always a little envious. The stories, the friends, the memories she relayed about her time at Millbrook sounded incredible. We reached out to her for some insight and advice. She's currently the director of student activities at Exeter. She insisted I apply to Millbrook. She relayed how it would be a great fit, and she also thankfully assuaged my parents' apprehensions about me making a major change in my junior year. We visited a few boarding schools in the tri-state area. One snowy day in January, we made the trip to Millbrook. I took the routine tour. It was winter weekend, and students were dressed in crazy-colored pink and orange and yellow tutus. Mrs. Spinella brought me into her office for an interview. I met Mr. Casertano and Mr. Downs. There was an energy all over the place, and at 16, I think I was able to see it a little bit more clearly than if I came as a lot of younger students do. Millbrook students looked at ease. Girls in giant pink puffy bodysuits, boys with red paint on their faces. The feeling of community was unique. I applied and I waited. I marked the days on my calendar, feverishly awaiting that news that would come in March. My mom placed more Post-it notes in my backpack each day. I remember one in particular was from a movie, Van Wilder, and it said, "Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere." I was accepted, and I came for revisit day. My dad was a tough customer. On the ride up, he relayed how he was still on the fence about the added expense of an additional year at boarding school. But as the day went on, he was moved by whatever Mr. Downs conveyed about the Millbrook experience, and he came right out with it and shared what was really on his mind. He said he couldn't bear the idea of me being gone. And even though I hardly ever saw him during the week, he said he was just fearful of me leaving home and afraid of all the little moments he would miss. My mom put a Post-it note in his bag the next day. Something about how the two best things you can give your children are roots and wings. I'm not sure how we felt about that, but we came to the decision as a family that I would enroll in Millbrook and repeat my junior year. The months dragged on before I was on my way to becoming a Millbrook student. I spent that spring watching videos on the school website. We packed up the car and came for the first day, new student orientation. I was excited, I was anxious, and I was petrified. I had never been the new kid before. It's one part exhilarating and one part terrifying. I met my roommate and my student advisor and headed to lunch with my parents before they left. Just as they hugged me goodbye, I whispered to my dad, "I'm not sure I can do this." And he replied, "I am so enormously proud of you. I'm going to miss you, but I know you and you've got this. This is the right place for you. You'll be great." And so my path on Millbrook campus began. Here I am after a year and a half giving this chapel talk. I want so badly for you to know how greatly this school has impacted me. I've been challenged since the moment I arrived to take risks. I've been comforted by teachers and friends when I felt uncertain or apprehensive. My mom now mails me motivational quotes on Post-it notes, and my dad texts me on his commute from the city, asking me to tell him about my day. My little sister thinks life is great because she can play in my empty bedroom while I'm away. Things have definitely changed, but all in good ways. I recently got a text from a girl I went to school with who was a few years behind me. She was feeling very much like I did in 11th grade. She wanted to experience a new school, take a chance, and try a different path. She wanted advice, and it felt really good knowing I could help her by sharing my story and giving back what I had learned. So many instrumental people in my life have shown me the great things that can come from taking risks and trying something new. In fact, here's a little side story to explain what I mean. My godfather was a corporate guy. He headed his own branding and design firm in the city. When the economy tanked roughly a decade ago, he lost everything. His company, his job, his wife. He didn't spend time on self-pity. He literally changed his life. He started a food truck in Asbury, New Jersey. Now he's a really cool guy and everyone loves him, so that made things a little bit easy for him. But he has lines of people waiting every night for his one-of-a-kind sandwiches. The Food Network came to see him and awarded him the New Jersey Food Nation winner. He was filmed for another network show and now has 3 food trucks all over our county. A filmmaker even made a documentary about him. It's crazy all the good that has come his way since he started this food truck business. And you know what he told me? He said, "Leigh, I love my life. I'm grateful for getting a chance to try a different path. Yeah, sure, it was scary, but look where it's led me. I'm glad I took the risk." And I thought, he's right. Life can and does give you a chance to try different paths. And those years that are the ones that ask questions eventually lead to the years that provide answers. I think you just have to seek, wonder, and ask. And when you find the place that fits and feels right, trust your gut and go for it. Without sounding corny or trite, I truly believe Millbrook was the place I was meant to be. It has made me stronger, wiser, and ready for the next chapter in my life. I'm simply grateful for it all, especially the journey that led me here. Thank you.